Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha, aka Geek XX Chic, and I am back with a review of the latest episode of The Walking Dead, which is season 8, episode 7, and it was called Time for After. So, this episode, well, where to start? I guess the pacing of this one was definitely slower than we've had since the beginning of the season, really. Pretty much from the premiere up until now, they've been pretty action-packed episodes, even the ones that were a little bit more canned about particular, characters like Ezekiel or Negan. We still had quite a bit of action happening in those episodes, but in this one, it really was kind of a slower episode that was kind of sandwiched with Rick moving the plot forward just a little bit, and in the overall scheme of this all-out war. But I guess we can start talking initially about, let's talk about Eugene, because really he was the majority of this episode, and what happened with Rick was kind of just, well, we'll get to that. Eugene. I don't know. I feel like this episode personally would have been a little bit more appetizing, perhaps, if we focused more on Dwight, if that makes any sense. Like, I know that Eugene is someone that we've watched since season, gosh, when did he come in? Season 4-ish? Season 5? But I just feel like the fact that we really haven't seen him, like, he kind of went over to Negan's side in the middle of last season, and really, as far as screen time and development, we really haven't seen a lot of Eugene. And it's not because I think that we needed to see it, but I just feel like Eugene's always had kind of one note. It's always been, as he mentioned several times through this episode, it's about self-preservation. Eugene cares about keeping Eugene alive, and we've seen ever since he showed up on screen and it first came out that he lied about the cure and everything else, Eugene cares about Eugene. And he will lie and scheme and do whatever he needs to keep the skin on his hide. So the fact that this episode once again just showed that that's exactly what Eugene is, I don't know why we kind of had to spend all that time getting around to it. I mean, yes, we saw him struggle with a little bit of conscience issues. The whole thing with Father Gabriel, which, by the way, kudos to Father Gabriel. He's just pulling things out of all kinds of arsenals we didn't even know he had. First the thing with Negan, getting him to confess about his wife, and now kind of almost getting through to Eugene and kind of pricking that conscience of his. Like, Eugene may be a little bit sick right now, but he's still like wielding some serious mental weaponry right now, and I'm here for it. I'm like, you go ahead, Father Gabe. He cannot die, FYI. He better not die. Like, I don't know. I just feel like we didn't really go anywhere with that whole story. Like, we kind of went in a big old circle. All right, let me take a step back. I'm usually a little bit more objective than this. I'm feeling a little bit fiery because I'm upset about the plan. Fine. Neutral point of view. Eugene is looking at the fact that there are a lot of people who are in the sanctuary that did not ask to be there, right? There's a lot of people who are captives, a lot of people, women, children, elderly people, and they didn't ask for any of this. They're just a part of it because the other option was to get shot by Negan, right? Or worse. And so I see that he's like, okay, it sucks and we don't want them to be hurt. And Rick's plan, no matter what it was, it would involve collateral damage, right? That's war, right? War is never without innocent casualties, and which is why it should never happen, but it is what it is. However, the hypocrisy of it all, and the fact that he knows that the people outside who are causing this, the Ricks, the Maggies, all these people literally saved his life. Literally, the reason he's standing upright, as he likes to say all the time, is because those people risked their necks for him. Like, it's just, he's such a smart man, but for him not to be able to see the bigger picture in all of this is just beyond me. Because it's not about logic. Like, the whole thing comes down to two things. One, Eugene is a big fat coward, and he hates that about himself. And Negan is an expert at stroking, and yes, I use that word on purpose. He's good at stroking egos and using the tools that he thinks are going to motivate people. And in the case of whiny little Eugene, he recognizes that Eugene is a coward and that he probably is constantly reminded of his cowardice. And so by telling him he's super important and he's number 2 and he thinks he's strong and meh, 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 all those things are just all things that he's always wanted to hear. And the fact that when he was with Rick's people, by and large, they definitely pointed out his cowardice more than anything else. He's just thinking, well, while I'm here in this wonderful little crazy land of psychopaths, I get to be the head honcho in charge, get to eat pickles and live the high life, and that's not something I could enjoy outside these walls. And I don't think he wants to admit that about himself, but that is a huge driver, I believe, for why he's so easily loyal to Negan and this whole situation. So that's kind of how I feel about the whole Eugene situation. It was a little bit dull for me personally. I mean, the episode wasn't terrible, but I just feel like they could have, or even spliced some of that with Dwight. Because Dwight, if anything, has had that transformation that would have been worth following, in my opinion, story-wise, because here was a guy who tried to live that life of Negan and tried to immerse himself in the whole, well, I'll kill as I want and I'll take what I want and I'll just, I'll try to just block it all out and be terrible because that's how I'll fit in. And in the end, he can't do it. The loss of his wife, her leaving, that was his breaking point to be like, no, I can't. Like, I just can't sink to this low and stay here. So the fact that he's willing to risk everything to help Rick, even knowing that there's probably a good chance that Rick and his people are going to kill him when it's all said and done, that's a huge, arc, in my opinion. And then that kind of brings us into a little segue of the Daryl, Tara, Michonne, and Rosita situation, the naughty kids. But it was great to see. I mean, there's not much to say about that. I mean, I kind of felt like in the end, Rosita and Michonne were not going to do it. I knew Michonne wasn't really going to do it because she's just not 100%. First of all, she's still very much battered and bruised. But beyond that, Michonne is a thinker. She's always been a thinker. And I love that at least in the drive, from wherever they were to the gates, she sat there and really ruminated on whether or not this whole plan was a good idea in the grand scheme of things. And I'm glad that Rosita, thank you, hallelujah, Jesus, at least Rosita has been to the place now where she's starting to think with her brain and not out of a sense of revenge. She finally got that out of her system, and like she mentioned, it was seeing Sasha walk out of that coffin that gave her that wake-up call of, okay, when I run off impetuously and do stupid things, people die. People I care about die. And am I really willing to risk losing people I care about, a number of them, to maybe kill a handful of those people? Like, is that really an equal balance? And it isn't. In the end, it really isn't. And so I love that Rosita was kind of like, y'all sure about this? Are y'all 100% that this is the right plan? And then she was like, okay, you can do it, but I'm done making stupid decisions. So thank you. I'm so glad we have Rosita back. And as for Michonne, I think Rosita called it, right? She just said, you're afraid, you want to go with them because you hate sitting around and waiting. And I get that in this tense situation like this. It is so unlike Michonne not to be part of the action. But I'm glad, as I said, she thought about it and realized, no, this is too big of a risk to myself, to this plan. And like she said, I don't know that it's not going to work, but at least it's a plan. Everybody knows the plan, and we have to have faith to try to follow it through. And breaking with the plan, we cause a bunch of unknown variables that we can't control versus the ones that would have been somewhat thought of with the plan, right? And that's exactly what happened. Right? Daryl and Rosita and all them thought they were doing something great by breaking in the walls, but that ended up being the catalyst for Eugene to help the Saviors fix the situation. Right? Eugene was perfectly content with sitting back and being passive the way that Dwight asked him to until Daryl and Tara and Morgan went and just broke the plan and just pushed a little too far, right? So that's how it is. And now we saw towards the end of the episode there that Rick realizes the plan's no longer in place. He has no idea where things are, and the amount of regrouping and unknowns that are going to be there now. Whose fault is that? Now, God knows what the repercussions are going to be. What could have been a very quick and fairly clean battle is now going to possibly be dragged out far longer and get far bloodier. The only other thing was Rick. To risk sitting in that box for Lord knows how long and having, I mean, her and that, Jade is in this sculpture thing, man. I don't know, these people, I don't know if we need these people in the apocalypse. I think we can just trash the trash people. You know what I'm saying? They're weird. But his plan in the end worked. I love that he showed at the end when Jadis tried to play her little games again, that Rick was like, listen, in case you thought that I walked up in here like an idiot, like I was actually scared of any of you, let me show you why my behind has lasted in the apocalypse this long. Because I am a badass. I am King Rick. I am Murder Rick. You don't know what I'm capable of. She has no idea. She's not seen the worst of Rick yet. So that was a great scene. Like, that really saved the episode for me. That last scene with Rick just showing everybody tied up in his drawers that you were not going to kill him today. That was not the way he was going out. And woo, girl, if Michonne had even been in the vicinity, let's just say there were little pieces of Jadis that they'd be able to make a sculpture out of all the body parts they would have found, because that katana would have had a song to sing, and I would have been here for it, recording the album and selling that shit on the street. You know what I'm saying? But I still do think it is a little bit of a risk for Rick to think he can trust Jadis and those people. She's just not somebody I trust. I feel like the first opportunity she has to screw Rick over, she will take it. And now that his plan seems like it's gone sideways and he's by himself, I am very worried as to what this could potentially mean for him, or worse, the people back in Alexandria, because they're a much closer target for Jadis. And especially when she realizes that Negan's people are out and not surrounded. Oh man, Daryl screwed up. Daryl and Tara screwed up so bad. I didn't really mention Morgan because I'm not sure. It felt like Morgan was kind of almost stuck in as a last minute thought in this episode. But after the big reveal on The Talking Dead, which, spoiler alert, that I guess it's not because it's on the internet, he's going to be crossing over to Fear the Walking Dead. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I have a feeling it's going to be soon, because he just seems like they're slowly finding ways to kind of pluck him out of this show's storyline. And it's bittersweet for me. I don't really watch the Fear the Walking Dead regularly. I have watched it though, and while I think it'd be a great addition to that show, I love that actor. I love him. I love his character, and it's going to be sad to see him not interact with Rick and that whole group anymore. But yeah, like I said, there really wasn't much to talk about with him in this episode because he was kind of barely in it. So what did you guys think of this episode overall? Do you feel like there was anything new shown about Eugene and his journey, and if he's actually grown in any way? Or do you kind of feel like I do, where it was just kind of a big exercise in the same old, same old? Also, how do you think that Negan's going to retaliate now that he's managed to get out of the sanctuary? Where is he going to go first? Because most of his outposts have been taken out. And if you like this video, guys, go ahead and click that like button. If you want to see more from this geeky face, click subscribe. Until next time, see ya.